Welcome back, my fellow mobile gamers of YouTube. My name is NimbleThor, and I've got some great games to share with you today in this mobile gaming recap where I talk about and share the 3 best mobile games that I played last week. And if you've been looking for a strategy game, an RPG game, or a new fighting game, this episode is gonna be right up your alley. Because today's games include a 4x strategy game where we colonize space one planet at a time, a fun, unique RPG hero collector, and a real-time cross-platform fighting game. And you know what? Let's just kick things off with one of my favorite games that I used to play on PC, but that has now released on mobile actually a bit ago, but I never got around to playing the mobile version, but I'm very excited to chat with you guys. And that game is, of course, Brawlhalla, which is an arena platform fighting game heavily inspired by the Super Smash Bros. Games from Nintendo, obviously, with real-time multiplayer and over 50 distinct heroes with unique abilities and weapons. The game features multiple 1 vs 1 and 2 vs 2 game modes, including online, ranked, custom game rooms, and even local matches or offline tournaments against an AI. It also has PC, mobile, and console cross-platform play, and supports both controllers and keyboards on mobile, and that last part, the keyboard part, kinda surprised me. That is very rare to see in a mobile game. Now, the objective is to do damage to our opponents using our different attacks and weapons until we can ultimately smack them so hard that they just fly off of the platforms. And it's just really fun. The controls work well as well, and the full Brawlhalla experience is almost perfectly ported to mobile. The main downside is that PC players will always have an advantage against someone playing on mobile because of the touch controls. It's also a game that has been in development for many years at this point, which really shows. The core gameplay loop is fun, and the many game modes, heroes, and maps add lots of replayability. So much like in many MOBA games, we have 8 free heroes that rotate every week, while the rest can then be unlocked using in-game gold or through in-app purchases. In my experience, the characters are nicely balanced, so there's really no pay to win in this game, and all the characters can even be unlocked through a single $19.99 in-app purchase. The single player and the training matches can be played offline. It takes up 664 MB of space, and if you enjoy fighting games, this one is a must-try. Next up is a 4x strategy game called A Planet of Mine, which is a strategy game that has us explore and expand a spherical planet by gathering resources, researching new technologies, and eventually colonizing other planets. Starting with just a few inhabitants, we select any tile on our planet to start building everything from mines and workbenches to power plants and houses that hold more inhabitants. Everything we build on this planet allows us to either gather or refine resources that we then use to build new building types or expand to other planets. But interestingly, the type of resources that each building gathers depends on the biome it is built on, which means we actually have to carefully consider where to position what on our planet. But probably the coolest part about this game is that if we're in a rush, we can simply rotate the planet to speed up time and gather resources faster. A Planet of Mine features multiple game modes and challenges with different goals that force us to test various strategies for developing our planets and acquiring the necessary resources. And some of these challenges even allow us to trade with or attack other colonies as well. Now, the fact that these planets are procedurally generated ensures a slightly different gameplay experience every time, but the controls make it easy to misclick when rotating our planet. And I gotta say, I also experienced a few visual glitches that cause text to overlap. But while the UI and controls could definitely use an update, and this is a rather old game by the way, so that's probably why we're starting to see these issues on newer phones, the gameplay is still very enjoyable. A Planet of Mine monetizes through a single $4.99 in-app purchase to unlock all additional game modes, species, and factions, or $1.99 in-app purchases to unlock these individually. The game can be played offline, takes up 112 MB of space, and if you're someone who enjoyed games like Polytopia, for example, I have a feeling you might end up enjoying this one as well. But now it is time for arguably the cutest game of this week. It is the RPG hero collector called Cookie Run Kingdom. And this game features the same humorous universe and the cute characters that the predecessor, Cookie Run Oven Break, was known for. And the easiest way to understand this game is to see it as split into 2 overall sections. One section with simulation-like gameplay where we expand our kingdom with buildings and decorative cosmetics, and then another mode where we use our cookie heroes to fight monsters, bosses, and even other players. And while there are many games that have attempted this combination of gameplay elements before, what stood out to me about Cookie Run Kingdom was just how nicely these 2 parts of the game are tied together. For example, we may need to craft some axes in our kingdom so we can repair a bridge that is blocking our path in the campaign mode. And it's that type of stuff that just helps make it feel like one game instead of basically 2 separate games. Now, during combat in this game, our heroes run forward and they also attack monsters automatically, while we manually or automatically trigger abilities. And if you've been following this channel for a while, you may know know that I'm personally not a huge fan of auto combat systems, but I will say it's made bearable in Cookie Run because combat is only half of the overall gameplay, and using these auto systems puts us at a huge disadvantage since it basically just spams abilities randomly. So if you want to have any chance at surviving some of the boss waves or just the more difficult campaign missions, you definitely do have to trigger these abilities manually instead. In between combat, we then progress by unlocking new cookie heroes through a gacha system, and then of course upgrading them by spending star jellies gained in our kingdom. The main drawbacks are that the game lags even on high-end devices, and that gathering resources needed for progression requires frequently visiting our kingdom throughout the day to restart the production of these resources. Cookie Run Kingdom monetizes through a $4.99 battle pass and in-app purchases used for the gacha system and to recover the energy needed to enter combat. The game is relatively generous with providing free premium currency, so although paying players absolutely have a pay-to-progress faster advantage, it's definitely possible to enjoy the game as a free player as well. The game requires online access, takes up 1.6 GB of space, and it's a fun and polished game that is easy to fall in love with because of its art style, although the in-app purchases are expensive and the gacha rates are somewhat mediocre. So if you really get into the game, I would advise just staying away from the monetization altogether and just enjoy the game in those 20 to 30 minute intervals that the energy system allows. Be sure to let me know what you thought about the games this week in the comment section down below, and leave a like on your way out. That is always a big help, so thank you very much in advance. And then until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around. What? One take. Woo! A planet of faster. A planet of mine. The game features resources faster. A planet of mine faster. A planet of mine faster.